What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Hot Take. Today, we're in a 2003 Honda Civic Si. This is codename Ep3 generation. The one that I owned. I've been wanting to drive one of these with my modern automotive eyes for a very long time, so I'm very excited today. This is my friend Logan.
Hello.
Who may have gotten a little inspiration from me to buy this car. But Logan, tell us a little bit about this Ep3 Si.
I bought this car for about $4,000 it came with a spare motor. I have only modifications I've done to this car so far is a Jack Spania header and a Yonaka exhaust. Other than that, it's totally stock.
Mostly stock. We can talk about on the road what Logan's plans are for this car, but let's go ahead and take the Ep3 Si out on the road and see how she drives. Dashboard shifter. Alright, so some initial impressions. Driver's controls are very good. The shifter, it feels a little weird. It's a little bit to get used to at first. The being on the dashboard, there are some little worn out aspects about it. But overall, she's solid. There are a few rattles in this interior. We have the obligatory Honda Civic huge subwoofer because, of course, we do.
Gotta need that. You need that bass.
Exactly. I wonder if Honda stereo systems lack bass from the factory, and that's why everyone does them, or if it's just like the type of owner that owns this car just also enjoys having a huge subwoofer. That's way too big for the car.
I have noticed that Honda speakers do lack the bass, but they do have a pretty good high-pitched tone.
Yeah, the sound system in this car is pretty good. So it's a little firm over these roads, not as supple as the RSX Type S. Frankly, I even think the Integra Type R might have been a little bit more composed, but I don't know if that's just a high mileage thing or an Ep3 thing. So, it's a much shorter power band than the K20A2, which is what was in the RSX Type S. But it still has a nice kind of resonance once you get up to 7,000, and it's still very peaky Honda in nature.
The reason why the power band is so short is because the VTEC doesn't kick in until 4,200 RPM, and also doesn't have VTEC on the exhaust side.
Yeah.
Kind of shortens that power band a bit.
Yeah, it is very interesting, and I think they went with a less aggressive camshaft and head design on these. I think these run a little lower compression than the A2, so that they could run 87 fuel in here.
Yeah.
Which makes sense for the Civic Si. They didn't want their Honda customers to have to put premium in the car. Man, it feels really tight around these corners. Alignment's a little bit off. Oh. Yeah, that sucks. Feels very composed around these corners.
I think it could definitely use some stiffening. It almost feels like the rear end wants to kick out a bit.
Oh, like butter.
Better tires will also help.
Man. I got a huge grin on my face right now. I'm loving this. Yeah, so you bought the Ep3, partly because of my recommendation. But what was it like when you first drove this car? So this is your first manual car.
Yes. So
One of mine too.
I actually, very stupidly, but also got lucky. I bought this car without even driving it. I had my cousin test drive it, and then I had the previous owner give me a ride in it. And what really made me fall in love with the car, even though I don't have it anymore, was the old exhaust system, which was basically just straight pipe due to all the exhaust
That's great. The exhaust you have on here now, it's got a little bit of rasp, but it's not too bad. I think it's a Honda exhaust done well. Usually people, when they do these exhausts, they make them too raspy and they're kind of awful. This, not at all. It's a good note. Bassy, single tip, very nice. Good torque when you bring it out in third.
Yeah. Third and fourth is the power gears, and fifth is all highway.
Yeah, which is funny. You say it's fifth. This is highway, but it's classic in classic Honda fashion. You're still so high on the tach.
Yeah.
You said at like 3,800 at 70.
Yeah. No, not even at 60 miles an hour. This car stays at 3,000.
Yeah, dude, it's like bad.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Sounds very good.
It's like almost stock, but it's better than stock.
Yeah, so we do have a cold air intake on here too, which we didn't mention earlier. Just kind of helps bring out some of that low end growl.
It's unfortunately one of those cold air days.
The hot air.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh well, you know, it sounds cool. I'm sure it's inconsequential either way to horsepower.
Yeah. It doesn't help or hurt it, most likely. It will get a proper cold air intake soon.
So I'm going to talk a little bit about my experience with EP3s. So I had an EP3 back in high school. Actually, one of the best videos currently on this YouTube channel was me driving it. It had a really bad exhaust leak, so it sounded really loud. I think it had like whatever 7,000 or 8,000 views or something. But that car, it was really good learning experience for me. At the time, it was kind of like I was learning how to rev match and learning how to drive a car quickly and like the dynamics of the car. And these cars are really good at that. They're really good at making you feel like a good driver. It handles well enough to kind of let you take corners quickly, but not too well where it's not going to give you any feedback. You get some tire noise at certain points, and it just communicates to you really well. You know what the car's doing. Yeah, so we don't really know if this has an aftermarket clutch or not. So I noticed in the RSX I was able to hold that in third, and this I kind of had to go to fourth. So I think the gearing's the same between this and the RSX, but this has a much shorter red line. So you run out of RPM a lot quicker.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Very interesting.
First gear in this, if you go above 25, you're going to be banging off the rev limiter.
Yeah, which is what I guess I didn't really bang off the rev limiter, but...
You can go a bit above 25, but once the wheel speed starts picking up, it red lines real quick.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
Same motor that's in the base RSX. The Type S has the V2.
crispy 5.4. I don't know what the torque curve is on these, or maybe this weighs less than the RSX Type S, or just however that works. But I feel like the RSX Type S, I had to work a little more to kind of get some power, very relatively speaking, because I thought that one also had a good level of torque, especially compared to like the B series. You do feel a little more of a pull at 5, but if you're not actively looking at the tach and trying to feel it and pay attention to it, it's there.
Very slight,
very
extra bit.
subtle. But yeah, I like that a lot. It's good.
It doesn't surprise you.
Exactly.
That's
Which,
one of the reasons why I'm going to supercharge it, because like you mentioned, it's already a really linear, just like...
yeah. Oh, so yeah, you said, we didn't really talk about that. So you want to supercharge all-wheel drive swap this car eventually.
Yes. The plan is to do a Road Trek supercharger kit, and I'm going to supercharge it. I'm going to get forged rods and pistons, probably get Brian Crower piston rods and pistons, as well as a Brian Crower valve train, and then I'm going to supercharge it and get a 6-speed swap from an RSX Type S, and then in the future when I've recouped my bank account,
Yeah.
I'm going to all-wheel drive swap it.
So we've now finished our test drive of the Ep3 Civic Si. It was a very well put together car. It is a very well put together car. The way the car communicates to the driver it's a lot different from a lot of other cars. It feels very go-karty, which I don't like the term of, because a lot of cars could fall under that umbrella, but you really have a feeling of where the car is at, and not even just the front end, but the rear end. For what it was in its day, and especially compared to modern cars, it's really good. The shifter, this is a really well thought out design. See, a lot of people don't like this shifter because it looks funny, but the location is perfect. It's close to you. You can go for quick downshifts. I really like that. Looks aside, this is fantastic. The way the car drives, it's a great package. With that, let's go ahead and give it a score. Utility. The Ep3 Si rides a bit firm, but not too jarring. This one rattled a lot and had some wind noise, but that's more specific to this car. Usability is good. Front space room is plentiful. Well thought out storage space and cup holder. The trunk is also well sized, you know, if you aren't a stereotypical Civic owner. Rear seat room is also impressive. As a 6'2" male, I fit into the back with plenty of headroom and fair amount of legroom. It gets a 4 out of 10. Features. Features are pretty basic. Climate control, radio, power windows, nothing special to note. The materials are usual cheap 2000s plastic, but the seats are nice and the steering wheel feels sporty. It gets a 2.5 out of 10. MPG. The EPA rates this car 22 city and 28 highway with a 25 combined. It gets a 7 out of 10. Cool factor. Ep3 Si models are becoming increasingly rare, and this was the last classic Honda Civic before the 8th gen started to add a bunch of computers. I love it. However, this car is not perceived well by the general audience. It looks like a bread van, the shifter is weird, and more importantly, the one before it was considered one of the best Civics of all time, hurting how this car was perceived. It gets a 5 out of 10. Driver's feedback. The driver inputs are amazing. The shifter is close to your hands, and the suspension provides a great level of feedback. The car makes you feel like you're flying at pedestrian speeds. It gets a 7.5 out of 10. Acceleration. The Ep3 Si has 0 to 60 in 7.6 seconds. It gets 2 out of 10. Should you buy it? The Ep3 Honda Civic Si is the perfect starter car. It communicates too well, but it's not fast enough to let you get into real trouble. It's also reliable and not too expensive to fix. The only pitfall here is dollar to performance. They cost upwards of $7,000 now for a nice stock one, and in stock form you will outgrow it quickly. So you go to modify it, but good suspension parts cost as much as a BMW 3 Series, which is why a lot of EP3s end up with cheap parts and get ruined. A real shame, but it still gets a 12 out of 15, putting it here on our list. It doesn't quite match up to the RSX Type S. Value to performance was the main killer here. In a world of ever-increasing speed and refinement, cars like this stick out, as a reminder of the bare-bone, no-nonsense hot hatch that was all about fun. If you can get past the oddities of this car, I encourage anyone to go out there and give the Ep3 Si a shot.